about sunrise? What about rain?
One voice changed everything. One career rewrote the rules of what pop music could be. But here's what most people never stop to ask. Was he born great, or did 10 specific songs build him into something the world had never seen before? Each record was a turning point. Each one carried a weight most people never knew about. And at least one of these songs almost never made it out. This is not just a countdown. This is the blueprint of a legend, told one song at a time. Number 10, Michael Jackson, Ben.
Been the two of us need look no more.
Close your eyes and go back to 1972. You are young. Maybe you are sitting in the back seat of your parents' car. Maybe you are in your bedroom with the radio on low, so nobody knows you are still awake. And this voice comes through the speaker, this impossibly tender, heartbreakingly pure voice, and it stops you completely.
We both found what.
Not because it is loud, because it is true. That is what Ben did to people. It stopped them. Now here is something that makes this song unusual right from the start. Ben was written for a movie, and not just any movie, a horror film about a boy and his pet rat. A killer rat, to be specific.
What we were looking for.
The movie was called Ben, and it was the 1972 sequel to a horror film called Willard. And on paper, a tender love ballad written for a movie about a murderous rodent should not work. It should not move anybody. It should not make a 14-year-old boy sound like he is singing from the deepest part of his soul. But Michael Jackson made it work, completely. Ben was produced by Walter Scharf and released on Motown Records. Michael was 14 years old. 14. And the performance he delivered on this record is so emotionally mature, so controlled, so genuinely feeling that even now, more than 50 years later, it catches you off guard. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It became Michael's first solo number 1 single, and it earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song. Here is the fun fact that always gets me. Michael was not the first choice to record this song. Donny Osmond was originally considered for the vocal. Think about that for a moment.
We'll see, you got a friend in me.
The song that gave Michael Jackson his first number 1, the song that first showed the world what his solo voice could do outside of the Jackson 5, almost belonged to somebody else entirely. The reason this song gets underplayed in the Michael Jackson conversation today is partly because of what it is attached to. People hear it's from a rat movie, and they mentally file it in a different category. They separate it from the serious artistic legacy, but that is a mistake, because Ben is the first evidence on record of something extraordinary living inside this young man. A capacity for emotional communication that went far beyond his age and far beyond what anyone expected from a Motown child star in 1972.
Ben, you're always running here and
This song is where it started. Not the dancing, not the spectacle, the voice. The pure, honest voice. Stay with me because number 9 takes us somewhere completely different, and the energy shifts completely. Number 9, Michael Jackson, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Okay, feel this one. It is 1979. The disco era is at its peak and also beginning to crack at the edges. But none of that matters right now because those strings just swept in and that falsetto just broke through the opening like a beam of light through a dark room. And suddenly, every single person within earshot of a speaker is moving. They cannot help it. Their body just decides. That is what Don't Stop Till You Get Enough does. It bypasses your brain entirely and goes straight to your feet. This record was the lead single from the Off the Wall album released on Epic Records in 1979. It was produced by Quincy Jones, and I want you to hold that name because Quincy Jones is going to be the name behind the greatest run in pop music history. The two of them together were simply something the world had never seen before. But here is the thing about this specific record that makes it even more remarkable. Michael Jackson wrote it himself. He was 20 years old. He sat down and wrote the song. He arranged the strings in his head. He knew exactly what he wanted it to feel like. And what he wanted it to feel like was joy. Pure, physical, unstoppable joy. The kind of joy that picks you up and carries you. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It won Michael his first solo Grammy Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. And it announced to the entire music industry that the child from Gary, Indiana had grown up. This was not a boy singing someone else's song anymore. This was a young man with a fully formed artistic vision demanding to be taken seriously. Here is the behind-the-scenes detail that makes this even more personal. Michael originally recorded a spoken word intro for the track, where he talked about the force of love being unstoppable. That introduction, which you can still hear on the album version, was something he wrote and delivered himself. It was his artistic statement. His declaration of intent. The reason this record sometimes gets overlooked in the larger Michael conversation is because Thriller arrived 3 years later and it was so enormous that it created a kind of shadow that fell backward over everything. People remember Thriller as the beginning, but Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was the beginning. This was the moment the door opened. And once that door opened, nothing was ever the same.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 8. Michael Jackson, Rock With You.
Girl, close your eyes, let that rhythm get.
I need you to picture a slow dance. Not a fast one, a slow one. The kind where the lights are low and somebody you care about is close and the song playing is doing something to the air in the room, making it warmer somehow, making time move differently. That is Rock With You. That is exactly what it does to a room. This was the second single from Off the Wall, and it was written by Rod Temperton, a British songwriter and musician who had been writing for the funk band Heatwave before Quincy Jones brought him into the Michael Jackson world. And this collaboration produced something almost impossibly perfect. Rod Temperton wrote the song, Quincy Jones produced it, and Michael Jackson turned it into an experience. Rock With You reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1980 and stayed there for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. At the same time, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was still on the chart. Michael Jackson had 2 songs from the same album charting at the top of the pop chart simultaneously.
Relax your mind.
That had almost never happened before for a solo black artist in the history of American pop music. The production on this record is so warm and so perfectly constructed that it almost feels like a living thing. The synthesizer sounds wrap around you. The groove is unhurried and confident.
Lay back and groove with mine. You gotta pick.
And Michael's vocal, particularly in the bridge, when he lifts into that upper register and just floats, is one of the most genuinely beautiful things ever committed to tape in the history of popular music. I believe that completely. Here is the fun fact. Rod Temperton originally wrote this song with a completely different title. He called it All Night. When Michael heard the demo, he loved it immediately, but wanted to change the feel slightly. The collaboration between songwriter, producer, and artist on this track was one of those rare cases where every single person in the room was operating at their absolute peak simultaneously. This song sometimes gets grouped simply into the off-the-wall era without being given its own individual recognition. But Rock With You is a masterpiece of pop and R&B craft. It is the kind of record that music students should study. Warmth works in a recording. Number 7 is about to shift the energy dramatically. And I mean dramatically. Number 7, Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. There are moments in pop music history that you can point to and say before this and after this, clear dividing lines. Moments where the world shifted and nothing went back to the way it was. Billie Jean is one of those moments. And if you were alive and old enough to be paying attention in early 1983, you know exactly what I am talking about. The first time that bass line hit that single, pulsing 4-note bass line that opens the record, something changed in the atmosphere. Even before the vocal came in, even before a single word was sung, that bass line told you that something serious was about to happen. Billie Jean was produced by Quincy Jones and recorded at Westlake Recording Studios in Los Angeles. It was released as the second single from the Thriller album on Epic Records in January 1983. The song is about a woman who claims that Michael is the father of her child, a claim he denies completely. But more than the lyrics, the song is about paranoia. About fame and the dark side of it. About being seen everywhere and trusted by no one. About the price of being extraordinary in a world that wants to own you. The record went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 7 weeks. It topped charts in multiple countries simultaneously. But the moment that changed everything, the moment that turned a number 1 hit into a cultural earthquake, was the Motown 25 television special in May 1983 when Michael Jackson performed Billie Jean live for the first time and introduced the world to the moonwalk. That performance was watched by approximately 47 million people in America alone. The next morning, the world was different. Here is the production detail that is extraordinary. Quincy Jones actually wanted to cut Billie Jean from the Thriller album. He felt the song was too repetitive. He felt the bass line went on too long. Michael Jackson refused to remove it. He fought for this song. He knew what he had. And the story of that disagreement between one of the greatest producers in music history and his artist is one of the most important moments of artistic courage in the entire Michael Jackson story. Michael was right. Quincy knew it eventually, and the world got Billie Jean. This song is not underrated. Everyone knows it. But what is underrated is the courage it took to make it exactly the way Michael insisted it be made. That is the part of the story that deserves more attention. This is not just a great pop song. This is a man trusting his instincts against enormous pressure and being proven completely right. That matters. That is a lesson that goes far beyond music. Number 6. Michael Jackson. Beat It. Picture this. You are in 1983. Rock music and pop music are living in completely separate worlds. MTV is exploding in popularity, but there is a serious problem. MTV is barely playing videos by black artists. The racial divide in American music at that moment is real, and it is documented, and it is something the industry is actively trying to ignore. And then Beat It arrives. This record broke every wall that existed. It had Eddie Van Halen, the greatest rock guitarist of his generation, playing a guitar solo in the middle of a Michael Jackson pop song.
You better run, you better do what you can. Don't wanna see no blood, don't be.
And it worked. Not as a gimmick, not as a novelty. It worked as music, as genuine, electric, heart-pumping music that sounded like nothing that had ever existed before.
You're macho man, you wanna be tough, better do what you can.
Beat. It was written and produced by Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones and recorded at Westlake Studios in Los Angeles in 1982. The song is about refusing to be drawn into violence, about being strong enough to walk away.
Don't beat it, but you wanna be bad, just beat it.
About courage being defined not by fighting but by choosing not to fight. That message, delivered over the hardest, most driving guitar and synth production on the Thriller album, was something genuinely new in pop music. Eddie Van Halen has said in interviews that he played his guitar solo for Beat It for free, as a favor, as a musician doing something for another musician because the music demanded it. He did not tell his own band beforehand. He just went in and played. And what he played, that descending, twisting, technically astonishing solo, became one of the most famous guitar moments in pop history. Here is why this record matters beyond the obvious. The success of Beat It at the top of the pop chart forced MTV to reconsider its programming. The pressure from Epic Records, and specifically from CBS Records president Walter Yetnikoff, combined with the undeniable popularity of Michael Jackson's videos, created a situation where MTV could no longer avoid playing black artists. Beat It was part of the reason that changed. Michael Jackson's crossover success helped open a door for black artists on the most powerful music television network in America. That is not a small thing. That is history. Number 5. Michael Jackson, Thriller.
It's close to midnight. Something evil's alert.
Okay, I am going to say something that might surprise you. Thriller the song, not just the album, is actually one of the most misunderstood records in Michael Jackson's catalog. Everyone knows the video. The 14-minute short film directed by John Landis that changed the definition of what a music video could be. Everyone knows Vincent Price's spoken word section. Everyone knows the zombie choreography. The cultural footprint of the Thriller video is so enormous that it sometimes swallows the song itself whole. But the song is extraordinary on its own terms, and it deserves to be heard that way. Thriller was written by Rod Temperton, the same British songwriter who gave us Rock With You, and produced by Quincy Jones. Rod Temperton has said that he submitted dozens of potential titles for the song before landing on Thriller. Michael Jackson heard that word and immediately knew it was right. One word.
You try to scream, but dare I take the sound before you make.
The whole mood captured in one word. The song is essentially a horror story set to music. A dark night, strange sounds, something terrifying approaching, and a voice playful and menacing at the same time telling you that there is no escape. It is campy and fun and genuinely unsettling all at once.
You start to breathe.
And Michael Jackson navigates all of those tones simultaneously without ever losing his footing. The Thriller album became the best-selling album in history. It has sold an estimated 66 to 70 million copies worldwide, depending on the source.
And so it looks you right between the eyes. You're very light.
The single itself reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Ironically, the album's biggest singles like Billie Jean and Beat, it outperformed it on the singles chart. But the video made Thriller the defining cultural moment of the entire era.
You hit the doors.
Here is the detail that stays with me. Vincent Price recorded his famous spoken word section in a single session. One take. He arrived, he read the lines, he delivered one of the most iconic performances in pop music history, and he went home.
Slim. I realize there's nowhere left to run.
Vincent Price was a genuine horror film legend, and he brought every bit of that gravitas to 30 seconds of a pop record. It was perfect, it was effortless, and it elevated the entire production to something that felt genuinely cinematic.
You feel the cold and wonder.
The Thriller video premiered on MTV on December 2nd, 1983. The channel played it twice an hour for the first 24 hours. That had never happened before.
If you ever see the sun, you close your eyes.
And it has never quite happened again. Stay with me, because number 4 is where this story gets complicated. And I promised you at the very beginning that we would get into the real conversation. That moment is coming very soon. Number 4, Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror.
Gonna make a change for once in my life.
There are songs that entertain you. There are songs that move you. And then rarely, maybe once or twice in a decade, there are songs that challenge you. Songs that look you directly in the eye and ask you something uncomfortable. Man in the Mirror is that kind of song. And if you have ever heard it and not felt something shift inside your chest, I want you to listen again, because this one goes deep.
It's gonna feel real.
Michael Jackson is the most famous person on the planet. His face is on every magazine. His tour is the biggest tour ever staged at that point in history. And in the middle of all that spectacle, all those lights and dancers and stadium-filling productions, he releases a song about personal responsibility, about looking at yourself honestly.
Good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
About understanding that if you want to change the world, the change begins with you. That takes courage, real courage, because it is easy to be a star. It is harder to be honest. Man in the Mirror was written by Sida Garrett and Glenn Ballard and produced by Quincy Jones.
As I turned up the
Sida Garrett was a young songwriter who had been brought into the Bad album sessions with the goal of contributing material. She co-wrote this song in a matter of hours. By many accounts, it came together very quickly, the way songs sometimes do when the idea is fully formed, before you even sit down to write it. Michael Jackson heard the demo and reportedly said he wanted to record it immediately. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The gospel choir that appears on the recording builds throughout the track until the final section becomes something that feels more like a church service than a pop record.
Oh, in my mind, I see the kids in the street.
And that transition from quiet self-reflection to full communal uplift is one of the most emotionally intelligent constructions in all of Michael Jackson's recorded work. Here is the fun fact that gives me chills every time. Sida Garrett, the woman who co-wrote this song, also sang the duet I Just Can't Stop Loving You with Michael on the same album.
Without enough to eat, who am I to be blind pretending?
So she contributed 2 of the most emotionally resonant performances on Bad. And yet her name is not always the first one that comes up when people talk about that era. That is something worth correcting. The reason Man in the Mirror sometimes gets placed in a secondary category behind Billie Jean and Thriller is partly about era. By 1988, the music press had already decided what Michael Jackson was, and they were not always interested in being surprised by him. The serious, socially conscious message of this record did not fit the narrative that some critics wanted to tell about pop spectacle. But the audience heard it differently. The audience received it as exactly what it was, a genuine call to self-examination delivered by the most famous person in the world. That is a rare thing, and it deserves to be recognized as such. Number 3. Michael Jackson. Black or White? Now, this is the one I promised you, the one with the real story behind it, the one where the music and the moment and the controversy all came together in a way that is impossible to fully separate. You remember I mentioned earlier that there was going to be a moment in this countdown where we get into something deeper, something more complicated than just the music. This is that moment. Black or White was released in November 1991 as the lead single from the Dangerous album on Epic Records. It was produced by Bill Bottrell and Michael Jackson, and it was recorded at Record One Studios in Los Angeles. The song opens with a guitar riff so immediate and so hard-hitting that it famously shook listeners who had their televisions turned up. The premiere of the music video on Fox, MTV, and several other networks simultaneously was watched by an estimated 500 million people in 27 countries. That number is almost incomprehensible even today. The song itself is a declaration, a joyful, direct, guitar-driven statement that race does not define love, that the color of someone's skin is not a reason to divide, exclude, or fear. Coming from Michael Jackson, an artist who occupied a unique and genuinely complicated position in conversations about race in America, this message carried enormous weight. Some people heard it as a deeply personal statement. Others heard it as a public declaration, and some people heard both at once. Now here is where the story gets layered. The music video, directed by John Landis, the same director who made the Thriller video, ended with a segment featuring Michael Jackson alone on a street, transforming through a morphing effect that showed different human faces of different races and ethnicities blending into one another. It was a technical landmark. It was also genuinely moving. The message was clear and it was beautiful. But after that segment ended, there was an additional 4-minute section. And that section, which was broadcast on that first night and then almost immediately pulled from subsequent airings, showed Michael alone in an alley, dancing, screaming, destroying a car. The imagery was raw and furious in a way that caught the entire world off guard. Some people say it was a deliberate artistic statement about rage and injustice. Others say it was misread and taken out of context. There are different versions of what Michael intended and what the network executives understood and what the public received. What we know is this: Michael Jackson issued a public statement apologizing for the segment. The section was edited out of most subsequent broadcasts. And the conversation that followed about what Michael was expressing, about what he was allowed to express, about how much artistic freedom the most famous person in the world actually possessed, was a genuine cultural moment. In interviews conducted over the years, people who were close to the production have described a creative environment around the Dangerous era where Michael was pushing harder than ever to say something real. Not just to entertain, to communicate, to use the platform that nobody else on earth had to say something that mattered. Some people say the edited version of the video lost something essential, that the fury in that deleted segment was part of the truth Michael was trying to tell. Others say the public statement and the edit were the right call given the context. There are different versions of the story, and I am not here to tell you which one is correct. What I am here to tell you is this. Black or White went to #1 in 17 countries. It was the fastest rising single in the history of the Billboard Hot 100 chart at that time. The song itself, the music, the message, the guitar, the joy of it is one of the great moments of early 90s pop. And the complicated story around the video did not diminish that. If anything, it made the record more human. It reminded the world that behind the spectacle there was a man trying to say something real. Number 2. Michael Jackson, Earth Song.
What about all the things that you said we were to gain?
I want you to stop for a second. Whatever you are doing right now, just stop. Because this one is different. This one does not feel like a pop song. It does not feel like an album track or a single or a piece of commercial product. It feels like a plea.
What about killing fears?
A genuine, desperate, heartbroken plea from someone who looked at the world and felt the pain of it so fully that the only response available was to sing. Earth Song was released in 1995 from the History album on Epic Records. It was written and produced by Michael Jackson himself, not with Quincy Jones, who was not part of the History sessions.
Is there a time? What about
Michael wrote this song. He is the only author listed, and that means everything that is in this record, every emotion, every cry, every orchestral swell, came from him directly. The song is about the destruction of the natural world, about war, about the death of animals and the clearing of forests and the human capacity for destruction on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend.
all the things that you said was yours and mine? Did you
The production builds from a quiet, almost whispered opening into something that feels genuinely enormous by the final section. The gospel influences are clear, the classical influences are clear, and at the center of all of it is a voice that sounds genuinely wounded.
ever stop to notice all the blood we've shed before?
Michael Jackson performed Earth Song at the 1996 Brit Awards, the British equivalent of the Grammys, in a performance that is still debated and discussed today. He appeared on a platform rising from a stage filled with imagery of environmental destruction, children in tattered clothing,
Oh, did you ever stop to notice this?
burned trees. And at a certain point during the performance, Jarvis Cocker, the lead singer of the British band Pulp, walked onto the stage and began dancing mockingly behind Michael. The reasons for that protest, what Cocker said afterward, what Michael's team said.
Crying earth as we make sure
What the audience said, what the press said, all of that became a significant cultural conversation in Britain at the time. Some people viewed Cocker as a folk hero, challenging what they saw as Michael's messianic self-presentation. Others viewed it as a disrespectful intrusion into a performance about something genuinely serious. There are different versions of what that moment meant, and I will not tell you which version is right. What I will tell you is that Earth Song reached #1 in the United Kingdom. It was the Christmas #1 in 1995. It outsold everything else in the country during that period. And the British public, the same public in whose country the Brit Awards controversy happened, chose this song as the song they wanted to hear most during the holiday season. That is a complicated and human and important truth. In America, Earth Song was never released as a commercial single. It did not chart on the Billboard Hot 100 because it was not officially serviced to American radio in the conventional way. And that decision, or that series of decisions about American marketing, meant that one of Michael Jackson's most emotionally ambitious recordings was essentially invisible to his home country audience. Think about that. The man wrote a song about the end of the natural world. He poured everything he felt about the planet and its suffering into a 6-minute piece of music. And America largely did not hear it. That is a story worth telling.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps pop lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 1. Michael Jackson, Heal the World.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it.
We have made it to the end. And I chose this one for number 1, not because it was the biggest hit, although it was enormous. Not because of the production, although the production is beautiful. I chose it for number 1 because of what it says about who Michael Jackson actually was beneath everything else.
His love and his place be much brighter than tomorrow.
Beneath the spectacle, beneath the controversy, beneath the fame and the tabloids and the decades of noise that surrounded his life, beneath all of it, this song is what was there. Heal the World was released in 1992 from the Dangerous album.
And if you really try,
Michael wrote it himself, and it was co-produced by Michael and Bruce Swedian. The song is addressed to children, to the future, to a world that Michael Jackson genuinely believed could be better if human beings chose to make it so. The lyrics are direct and simple, deliberately simple, in the way that the most honest things often are.
you'll find there's no need to cry in this place.
There is no cleverness here, no wordplay, no attempt to be sophisticated, just a man saying, "We can do better, we have to do better, and I believe we will." Michael Jackson founded the Heal the World Foundation in 1992, named after this song as a children's charity. The foundation airlifted humanitarian supplies into Sarajevo during the Bosnian War.
There's no hurt or sorrow. There are.
It provided support to children affected by poverty and disease around the world. Michael was not just writing about healing the world, he was trying to actually do it, with his money and his time and his name. Here is the thing about Heal the World that the people who dismiss it as sentimental or naive miss completely. Sincerity is one of the rarest things in pop music.
Ways to get there if you care enough for the living.
The entire machine of the music industry is built around image and calculation and marketability. And here is the most famous person in the world writing a song with no irony, no distance, no protective layer of cool or cleverness, just a direct statement of belief, just hope, just love for children and the world they were going to inherit.
Make a little space, make a better place.
You can find that naive if you want to, or you can find it brave. I find it brave. Heal the World reached the top 5 in multiple countries around the world. It was performed at the Super Bowl 2015 halftime show in January 1993, the halftime show that many people still consider the greatest in the history of the event.
Heal the world, make it a better.
Michael stood on a stage in the middle of the Rose Bowl, surrounded by children holding candles. 100 million people watched in America. Hundreds of millions more around the world. And this song played. The reason this is number 1 on our countdown is simple.
Place for you and for me and
Every other song on this list showed you what Michael Jackson could do. This one showed you what he wanted the world to become. And that ambition, that enormous, sincere, utterly uncool ambition to make things better, is the thing that separated him from everyone else.
the entire human race. There are people.
Not the dancing, not the production, not the spectacle, the belief. The genuine, undefended, open-hearted belief that it was possible to heal the world. That is the king of pop,